Welcome, everyone. We've got a really amazing next talk coming up called Building Media Empires in the Creator Economy, and this is really going to be the merging of the creator economy in the entertainment industry. Coming from Service 95, I'm very excited to be hearing this one. So we've got an incredible panel for you today. We've got Rachel Sandy, who's a multi-instrumentalist and TikTok star. Katori Walker, who's a West Coast hip-hop artist whose next album, Mezzanine, is coming out in October. Victor Bengtsson, who's the MD of Sidemen Entertainment, which is a production house. And the conversation is going to be moderated by Tom Hergland, who's Chief Business Development Officer and founding team member of Epidemic Sound. Just to give you an idea of Epidemic Sound, their music is played over 3 billion times a day just on YouTube and TikTok alone. So, welcome to our amazing panel.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. It's great to be here. I almost wasn't, and I wasn't the only one on the panel. I had a medical emergency on my flight this morning, so I had to go back to the gate 2 hours late. And the entire time I was feeling really sorry for myself because I was so stressed. So I was almost late, and I'm a bad person. So that's like the first half of my day. But fortunately enough, we have some really great panelists to remedy that today. So the backdrop of this panel is everybody knows by this point that production, distribution, consumption of media has done a complete overhaul over the last decade. And it doesn't only affect how people consume media or how ads are bought, it also changes everything about how media is made. And not just moving images and movies and short clips, but also the musicians and other artists that thrive in that space. So we have some really great people here that are going to talk about this today. And to my right here is Victor Bengtsson, who is the managing director of Sidemen Entertainment. I'm sure that pretty much everybody knows what Sidemen is at this point in time, but it is a creative collective, been around since 2013 roughly, with some of the biggest YouTubers in the world, and it has gone from a few friends making videos on YouTube to an international media empire. To his right, we have Rachel Sandy, who is also maybe beginning to build a media empire. A massive following on TikTok, but an artist in her own right as well. And at the end there, Katori Walker, flown in from Pasadena. Thank you for coming so far. Katori's a rapper and a hip-hop artist, and his music has been heard on YouTube 1.6 billion times. He's fastly growing Instagram following as well, but mainly focused on the music side of things. So I think we're going to hear some really interesting stories of how all of that traction happened between a few of you here on that panel. But to start off, what needed to be true in the world for all of this to happen? I mean, nobody's seen such a rapid change in business models, media consumption, or like viewership patterns in the history of content making or entertainment. Victor, just give us your opening remarks. How did you get here?
Yeah, I think what things that needed to be ultimately true for this to happen is that we started questioning what traditional media was doing. And that comes with Hollywood, that comes with TV, that comes with filmmaking. And for us, it became, how much do I need to do in order to make someone laugh? That's kind of where we started. That developed then into one of the lines that now guide us, which is how much does a laugh cost? And we started looking at hiring processes. How thick are these companies? What are they actually doing? And started looking at, if we were to take a stab at exactly what they do, how does that pan out? And the last 3 years have been about taking on the traditional. The first 7 was about seeing if we were funny enough to even make content, I think. But the ultimate truth is questioning the current status quo, because the people that sit at the top of that status quo, they benefit from the status quo. We do not benefit from the status quo. So we are now basically saying, what happens if we do it this way?
Until you become the status quo. Okay, Rachel, you started a little bit later. So looking at this industry and looking at the dynamics, how did you go about trying to get in there, being both an artist and a content creator?
Yeah, so for me, it all started with short form content and making videos on TikTok, Instagram, and that is kind of where I started to gain traction and where I got my entrance point into the industry. And, you know, even on the train ride over here, I looked across, every single person on the carriage was like that, you know, just staring at their phones. And I would argue now that short form content, we consume it more in more quantity than films, than TV shows, because it's just always there. And so for me, I was like, how can I use this to start my music career? And so I started sharing videos, music production, comedy, and it's been a phenomenal tool, really, for me.
Amazing. And Katori, looking at you, you're not coming at it as much as a content creator, more as a traditional artist. When you started getting some traction, or when you started wanting to get some traction, did you already feel that radio is dead, I need to do something else? Or did you have like a specific approach?
It was a complete buy-in and acceptance of this is what's coming next. Like a lot of times, like as artists, we kind of stick to what we know, and it's I feel like with content and short form content, what it started for me was when Instagram started doing those 1 minute videos where you can like upload a video, it's only 1 minute. That's when I'm like I completely bought in. Like this is the new wave. So I made like a whole project where every song is only 1 minute long. It's called A Minute of Your Time, and I was like, I'm buying in. Like, and the whole marketing plan was to go for like bigger influencer pages. At the time, it was World Star Hip Hop, and just a buy-in, and that changed my life. Just like this is what's next. I believe that this is what's next, and we did it, and that's why I'm sitting on the stage.
Amazing. It feels like you all had a really good understanding of like what the landscape looked like and what it probably took to succeed in it. But Victor, you said something about challenging the status quo. That's a very long journey from saying that statement to where you are today. Like some of the practicalities, like how did you make Sidemen so massive? And obviously the Sidemen themselves play a huge part in this, but like sitting behind the control boards and really trying to have a coherent strategy across all of these different channels and building it to what it is today. I mean, shows on Netflix, VC, venture capital firms, like all the things, like some practical, like how did you get there? The semi-short version.
The semi-short version would be, we set up some quite clear rules and then some high risk taking. Almost all of my hires were personality hires. Luckily, with some of them, they're also incredibly talented. Henry here is my creative director with me right now. He joined me first day when I joined them, basically. We basically set out to say, we know who our audience is, and we have a rule that is like, they live in the regions, they're not very cool, they love the stuff that we make, let's not pretend that we are anything that we are not, and keep on making content for the people that watch us and respect them. There will never be a brand book that says that, how do we actually find out the coolest people in the world find us cool? That shit never, oh, can I say that? Yeah, I'm sure.
You can say whatever you want, new rule.
Great. So we set down rules that were like, we're gonna take risks and we're gonna keep on questioning and we're gonna hire people that we like. That was like my first step. And then grow from there. So I'm 35, I run the company. The average age of the company is 24. And every time I say that, I can see like people in TV shaking in their boots. So that's what the rules were. People we like and people that were willing to take high risk.
Okay, amazing. And something that's really different about this new form of media consumption is that the fandom has really moved. I remember the first time I really understood the shift was when I saw that Billie Eilish dropped a new album. And it was like, oh, now we're going to do a marketing campaign and this and that. And I looked at her Instagram. I was like, 40 million followers? Like, who needs a marketing campaign? And what role does her label play now when she can just reach out to everybody directly and say, look, I'm releasing a new album. You should go listen to it on this and this and this platform. So, like, when we're looking at that kind of power dynamic in the new era, I'd say... Rachel, maybe you first. Like, how are you leveraging that direct relationship with these customers through comments and everything else? Like, what are you doing?
You know, I think it's really exciting to see that shift happening. You know, like you said, in the music industry, these labels don't have the same vice that they used to. I watched an interesting video the other day about how we are essentially living in a post-genre music world, where you think about the 80s, it had a sound, 90s had a sound, 2000s had a sound. Now it's like you go through the top 50 on Spotify, every song is completely different in vibe and genre, and that is because the artist, their voice is what is the most impactful now. You have a platform, you have a TikTok, you post a video, millions of people can see it in 24 hours, you know, and that's quite insane. So for me, it's really encouraging as a small creator, as an independent creator. It means that your idea, your voice is entirely yours, and you know, what you post, what you create, the music you make, it's all in your control.
Yeah. And there obviously is a slight downside there as well, having that direct relationship with that many people. So Katori, how much Teflon skin do you need to have to like read all of those negative comments? Because I'm sure that they do come regardless of how great the art is.
It depends on what your perception of the negative comment is. You know, a comment is an action, right? A person stop their scroll, hit the comment button, type something, and then hit send. Okay, I had that much of your attention. You like something about me. You like something. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then also as an artist, I try to live in like the 80%, right? If I got 8, hey, this music is great, this is so dope, da-da-da-da, why would I let those two, the 20% ruin my day? I feel like sometimes because we're so creative and we want to be liked by everybody, that those 2 negative comments can just like throw our whole, like, man, I ain't posting this stuff no more. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, I just got 80%. You know what I'm saying? If the ROI on anything was 80%, you like, that's a good investment, dog. Like, you know?
Yeah,
so it's like, that's
great
how I like to look at
metrics.
it. Yeah, man. So when I look at it like that, it's like, you know, I can live in peace and live in bliss. And it's like sometimes people just want attention. They might spew out something negative because that's the way that they've learned to get attention. Because, you know, if everybody's praising this person, let me go against the grain and then say something negative, and then maybe I'll get his attention. And then you'll realize it, like, because that's happened to me in the DMs in real life, like where I was like, yo, bro, like, what's up with you? Oh, nah, bro, I just was trying to get you to say something to me. It's like, oh, so you don't really hate my music? Like, nah, bro, I think it's dope, actually. It's like, oh, okay. So it's not real.
And then you
it's
hung
attention.
up.
No, I didn't hang up. You can't hang up in DMs, can you? But
I'm 45.
that's funny. Hey, just imagine like somebody say something you don't like in the DMs, you just like, nah. But yeah, that's how I deal with it.
Okay. And Rachel, how about you? Any comments, any negative comments that have actually made you change your content or made you change your music?
Definitely not like made me change what I'm putting out. I think the first time you get a negative comment, your initial reaction is gonna be like, oh my gosh, everyone hates me. But you know, it's like he said, it'll be the 1% of people that are saying that. And you know, with my work, I've had people interact with it like Charlie Puth, Maggie Rogers, the band Queen, people that I massively respect and admire. And it's never gonna be these people that DM you and say, how dare you make music? You know, it's gonna be Dave from down the pub who's never played a keyboard in his life. So, you know, I think to take it with a grain of salt, you know, it comes with putting yourself on the internet, and yeah, you build up a tolerance to it. You really do.
Okay. And Victor, in your business, comments are slightly different, but from another angle, like how would you leverage the direct to fan relationship that you have in a business sense instead? Because obviously there's so many opportunities. What are you focusing on?
I mean, also, like, I'm not a creator, right? One time I was on screen, I remember the first guy who saw me, he just went like, who's this Draco Malfoy-looking idiot? And I was like, bro, that was unnecessary. But so I work with talent, right? And they need to build that Teflon skin. I think that's key. But for us to look at comments and the engagement that we have with fans directly became like a weapon for us. So when we did the first season of our reality show Inside Now, that was on YouTube, and that meant that we did a live stream, basically a live premiere of the episodes, which meant that we could basically monitor sentiment as it was happening. That is something a corporation would be worried about, because what if the sentiment is bad? And I mean, we sat the night before, it's like, people are gonna fucking hate this. Like, everything else we did was 95% the sidemen on screen. This is 5% of them on screen. And I was at a restaurant celebrating my then girlfriend's dad's birthday, and I was just like, she left me because of that show, so that's unfortunate. we were shaking in our boots. Literally, we were like, this either fucks it all up or it's our next big business venture. So I think it became for us to be able, how can we use, even if there's hate or even if there is something that is negative, let's look at the fundamentals of what fan engagement is and how we utilize that whenever we create something new. So that immediate fan reception and their sentiment report became kind of like, okay, cool. The first 30 minutes, I was about to literally fly back to Sweden and start selling cows again. But the second half of that show, they were like, bro, this is almost like Big Brother for Gen Z. Like, this is pretty sick. So then it became a weapon for us. But you use it and you take risks with it. That's what the direct-to-fan engagement really does for us.
Okay, it's I actually, out of just a pure coincidence, I think today, exactly 1 year ago, it's premiered, and not only skyrocketed the Sidemen, but also Katori's hit that was in the show. So that's exactly 1 year ago today. But like, I'd like to know a little bit more about the different platforms, because I'm assuming that there's a lot of content creators and artists in here, and you monetize different ways on different platforms. So if we're looking a little bit concretely, like, I would assume, okay, I just use TikTok to get some traction and on a track, and then I just use YouTube to monetize, and then I'll maybe do a show on Snap, and that's some pretty good money too. How are you thinking in terms of, like, how do I turn this actual traffic into money? Like, Rachel, if we start with you, what would you say, which platforms are the best ones out there right now?
The best platforms, it's a tricky question because, like you said, I think each platform has its own designated job. And with platforms like TikTok, Instagram, their main job is to just drive engagement. And I don't think necessarily if you're just posting videos on TikTok, on Instagram, I don't think, there's a feasible way to make, loads and loads of money just doing that. But what it will do, I like to compare it to Piccadilly Circus. You walk through there, it's all these giant screens. There's not much input, it's like you just walk through there to get to other places. But the advertising is what it is. And essentially your social media platforms should be giant billboards for you to say, this is who I am, this is what I do. Immediately someone sees your video, a complete stranger, you want them to know a bit about your personality and what you're trying to do. They click on your profile, it's a clear brand, a clear image. And I think through doing that, you build up credibility, and then that's when brands want to work with you. You get, the traction needed to elevate it to the next level. So I think that it might be different with like YouTube, I think, because YouTube is, you can definitely produce shows, but with the short form content, it's about bringing in audiences, I would say.
Yeah. Or you just say really smart things on a panel, and somebody at TikTok is in the audience, and they will just redirect the algorithm, and then and then you win.
Exactly.
Okay, and if we're looking a little bit at, okay, well, if you pretty much know that social media is like the new radio, that's where people will discover things. How much do you think about actually trying to place your content in those kinds of popular channels? And Katori, let's start with you, because you did a massively successful sync with the Sidemen.
Right.
And like, how are you thinking about that, and how, like, before it happened, and how are you thinking after? Is that something that you actively pursue to grow your footprint, or is it did it just happen by chance and you just focus on your art?
What I was actively pursuing at the time was actual sound, right? So before the Sidemen thing happened, I noticed that certain songs within my catalog were moving a certain type of way. So within my niche sound, I'm like, how do I perfect this to where I now have somewhat of a balance of a formula to where every time I do something, it's gonna go. You know what I'm saying? Because no matter what, I know social media and content is very important, and I do it as well. But a good song is going to prevail every time, every single time. And all it takes is like someone like Sidemen using a song, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is really good." Like I knew it just took people time to catch on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, so if I keep doing that, eventually, then it's not just going to be people from the Sidemen using the music. It's going to be somebody else, and then somebody else, and then somebody else, and everybody's going to be like, "Wait, why am I just now hearing about this?" You know what I'm saying? Because it's everywhere. So if I craft the sound and perfect the sound, and then perfect being available, right? So it's like, all right, who is this guy? Oh, shoot, I go to his TikTok. Oh, shoot, I see him now. I go to his Instagram. Okay, I understand him now. That's kind of what I'm trying to do because I don't want to, my biggest thing is I don't want to get lost in the TikTok content creator spiral because it really breaks my heart when I see somebody that's blown up massively on content and then I go to like their Spotify and they got like 5K monthly listeners, and it's like you got 1 million followers. That breaks my heart every time. It's like you are popping on TikTok, but no one's streaming your songs. And then I go to your YouTube and it's not popping. And I go to your Instagram, it's not popping. It's like you have mastered this thing, but what's the overall goal? It's to get people to listen to your music, not just watch your content. That's my theory. That's my belief system because, hey, the music is, they're not going to be watching content when they in the car. You know what I'm saying? Well, sometimes we do. Don't tell nobody. You know what I'm saying? But
Not
most
legally.
likely not. You know what I'm saying? Like when the playlist is playing through the house and you just cleaning up, you're not watching content. You listening to it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do you do that? You know what I'm saying? So that's the feeling I want to give people. I want my songs to come on like when you cleaning up on a Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Certain songs, or when you about to go out to the club with your boys. That's what I want. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's good when you in your solo time and you scrolling and you kind of lost in the sauce, you doom scrolling, but that's not where I want to live. That's not where I want my music to live. I want, oh shoot, I'm watching Simon, this song at the top of this is fire. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want, you know?
Yeah.
That's my theory.
And Victor, I would argue that you are now in a position of power. I mean, when you choose a track, you put it out there, a lot of people are going to hear it. But I'd like to extend the scope of the question a little bit further and say, like, okay, well, would you ever compromise on your... you have your creative director here now, so this is interesting. You have a live witness here. So would you ever compromise on the creative integrity of a project to put a specific song in there because like it might be a marketing campaign that nobody knows about, and then pushing that forward or making it broader? Like, how do you think about leveraging sponsorships, branded content, that kind of thing in the Sidemen universe?
I mean, yeah. Okay, sorry, Henry. So a key thing for me, and I think one of the reasons that we are excelling at the pace that we are excelling, is that where music is quite good at embracing the mainstream, and Ed Sheeran would be a good example, TV and film and video is the opposite. They almost hate the idea of making something that is intended to be commercially viable. Like if you say that Avengers is your favorite film, that means you're not a film buff. So you need to love art. And we don't make art, we make entertainment. So compromising on creativity, the spectrum of that has been so black and white. What I think Henry has done is helped us build a brand that is now probably the best looking brand in the UK. And there are things like high fashion that will beat us, but if you go to the BBC and look at what they are making graphics-wise and compare that to Henry and his 23-year-old team, they're clapping them, like, hard. And we have built our own in-house agency that is better than all the agencies that operate in this fucking part of London. Like, we are better than them. That is as simple as it is.
Loving the confidence, by the way.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
No. Bro,
Talk your talk.
No.
You don't seem Swedish to me at all.
No, I'm not. No, it's like Timothée Chalamet goes out and says that he's aspiring for greatness. Fuck him aspiring for greatness. What the fuck would I be here otherwise? Like, what's the point? It's the same with Katori saying, I'm not going to be some fucking, for real. Like, no, but big yourself up, because it's like, you don't want to be stuck in a TikTok loop. You're going to go make it. And it's like I say this, we're not at a milestone right now. We're at a checkpoint. This checkpoint is going to put people like Katori at the end of the Avengers films, okay? It's going to be Rachel composing music for the big fucking productions that have come after this Hollywood goes into its new iteration. There are people coming up now to what we're doing because we're accepting that we're not gatekeeping. We're saying, fuck you, and this is what we're going to go and do. Yeah. So I'm compromising on their creativity. I think we are actually reestablishing what creativity is, and I think that goes beyond... Like, I was selling cows 10 years ago. What the fuck did Sidemen decide to make me run the company? They're dumb. But it has worked out well, and we said, what's Big Brother for Gen Z? It's this. What does the charity match look like? They told me I'm not going to sell at a stadium with 25,000 people. I sold at Wembley 3 months ago. Okay? It's like, big yourself up the way you're saying. And the same story for you, Rachel. It's like, we're here now. This is a checkpoint. The milestone comes later. So we are compromising, but for the reason of taking them on. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, it's... I wouldn't want to be Hollywood right now.
No, I would, because this is the opportunity. Invite them. Like, Kai's going to make the sickest film. He's going to make the Rush Hour of this generation. Like, Speed is going to go on and make some insane things. And I think Kevin Hart is going to come talk to them. I don't think they're trying to talk to Kevin Hart.
Yeah, I actually think you're right. Okay, but when you're in the space, there's so much great creativity flowing around. There's so many great ideas. There's so many platforms. Like, Rachel, when you think about, I've heard a term, is it called like content fatigue? Like you have to
like
make
burnout.
Yeah, content burnout. You have to make stuff all the time, and you could do it for like 6 or 7 different platforms. Like if you're coming up now, you're a preteen. Like the feelings are very big all the time. Like, how should you be thinking to have like a sustainable start of your career now? Like, what would you focus on?
That is a great question. I think, because I hear it a lot from musicians, they're like, I just want to make music. I don't want to have to do all this other stuff. And I think that realistically, if you just copy what is popular and you just hop on trends and stuff like that, you're never going to bring your own voice forwards. And, you know, with my content, I entered the industry wanting to just write film music and compose scores for films, but ended up making this completely other stuff on TikTok because I happen to enjoy that stuff too. And I think as someone trying to create content, you need to think about, I'm not just trying to get views, I'm trying to do something different, you know? And you can't reinvent the wheel, but you can definitely change what it looks like and make it more interesting and make it you. And so I think to like upcoming content creators, people that are like, oh, I don't want to just, you know, do the next dance or do this, do that. You don't have to. Find something that you get excited about creating, and that comes across and that connects with people.
There's a lot of hope from you younger people, or I sense that there's more hope that like I would have sold, my generation would have sold out their mother for likes. It feels like you're actually focusing on things that you love doing, and then the audiences will come more organically. But Katori, if we're looking at, okay, well, how can you use this platform to do other things? Do you branch out? Do you just focus on the music? Like if you could launch another brand or do good or do anything like that, like is that something you'll use your platform for, or is it just focused on music?
So I've recently been more tapped into mental health and specifically men's mental health. I feel like there has been some form of a movement. People call it like the red pill, which I'm not a part of that. Please don't attach my name to that. But the one thing I did like about that is the community of men that it built, because a lot of times us as men, we have a sense of loneliness, right? So how about I do some blue pill stuff or whatever we calling it, and just bring men together and like let them know that it's a safe space to speak, to listen, to hear. So like that's one of the missions that I feel like I'm on, because I know I am a therapy person. I've been in therapy for like 4 or 5 years. And sometimes we sit with our own thoughts and in our own head, and it can get very terrible, you know? And I feel like I just want to break down this theory, and I know we got like 3 minutes left, but like if, let's just say me and Victor, right? We cool. If he was going through something, right? And he's like, yo, bro, I just need to be held right now. That would sound really weird, right? As men, really, honestly, like no laughs, really, that would sound really weird. But if she said the same thing to one of her girls, they're gonna hold her through the night, probably get some ice cream. They'll probably sleep at each other's house, and it's good. She's good. It's a person there. But as men, it's like, you gonna get a bro dap. You be all right. Call me in the morning, bro. Sometimes he not gonna be all right. Sometimes that walk home where you just dapped him up was his last walk home. You know what I'm saying? And why don't we hug our brothers? What age does that stop? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to get too deep, but creating a space for that, because that's important. Every man in here, every woman in here, every person in here, you're important and your voice matters. And I want to create space for that. So, yeah.
That's a really, really good cause to direct your traffic and your traction towards. I've also been in therapy. It can become a pretty dark place. Yeah. But let's end on a more capitalistic note here.
Let's talk about some money, man.
Yeah. So we'll be heading over to Victor. I was thinking about the authenticity stuff that we were discussing, so I was just like, yeah, let's just go. So what's next? How big can the Sidemen become? Like, what is the next 5 years in the content creator space, and how does that compare to Hollywood?
Fuck me. Right, I don't see the Sidemen as necessarily the full-on answer here, but it's like what has come from YouTubers coming together, making videos, has turned from singular creators making singular videos, then making them in groups, which established the idea that if the Sidemen did what they did 10 years ago, then AMP can do what they're doing right now. That meant that the Beta Squad can go and do exactly the same thing, but more for London audience rather than the regional audience that we were doing. And I know that they have a super, super strong fan base here. The people that are coming after us are the ones that are going to actually establish this. So us now moving into a company, 4 years ago we were 1 employee, we're now 55. We have a multi-season deal with Netflix, we're selling out stadiums. We are still going to be small time compared to what the people are going to be doing 5 years from now. So what I think is going to happen is that we're going to start question what is happening in Hollywood, what's happening in TV here, what's happening on your screens. And the big macro changes is that this generation and this group, and I can say it, I'm a white man from a rich country, straight, who's got like all the privilege in the world, and came over here, and everything that I had to do was hard work, but I also had privilege to get to go and do it. And I'm working now with people everywhere where I'm not sustained by nepotism or things that came from past generations. Instead, our team now sits with so many different walks of life, so many different people, and there's no one who's going to get the torch handed from us, except the people who are the best at what they're doing. So I think that there is a completely different leveled playing field than there was prior. So that's going to happen. Capitalism, yes, that's still going to happen as well, which means that the people who are the best at what they do will hopefully have a bigger chance at getting to the actual big money and the big budgets, so they get to do really, really sick shit. But you have to remember, like, at the end of the day, there's a guy who's barking on live streams, and he's the biggest guy. FIFA put him in front of everyone 3 days ago. Like, how the fuck did that happen? Well, I know how it happened. Yeah, so Speed's hanging out with fucking Thierry Henry, and, like, they're bringing him on their show. Like, the motion is happening. So that's where I'm seeing it. This is, as I said once again, it's a checkpoint, not a milestone. And what's going to change is that people are going to be better at what they do and allowed in rooms they were never allowed to prior.
Amazing. Amazing. So, yep. Really nice to hear that the industry is young enough to not be run by nepotism. I would assume that it's slightly different in the Hollywood studios. They have more legacy that they need to deal with. But we're actually already out of time here. So everybody in the audience, if you would give a round of applause, and please, please. I don't think the Sidemen need any more followers, but check out the socials of Katori and Rachel, please.
Thank you so much.